Good morning, everyone. I believe that the live stream has now begun, so thank you all for joining. Good morning and welcome to the first live roundtable hosted as part of the European research project Land Support. Okay, that appears to be working. Excellent. So my name is Joe Dodson and I'm hosting today's talk on behalf of the Land Support project partner Action. Thank you so much for joining us. And today's live roundtable discussion is on the topic of managing land take, especially in the national context of Hungary and Italy. Now, I imagine most of our audience today will be very familiar with the concept of land take, but for those who aren't, here's a quick definition from the European Environmental Agency. Land take is the increase in the amount of agriculture, forest and other semi-natural and natural land taken by urban and other artificial land development. Our speakers will, of course, tell us more, so I would like to introduce them now. Joining us, we have Professor Gergely Tóth from the Institute of Advanced Studies Kosek in Hungary, Dr. Michele Munafò from ISPRA, the Italian Institute for Environmental Protection and Research, Assistant Professor Giuliano Langella from the CRISP Research Center at University of Naples Federico II, and Professor Domenico Moccia from Italy's Urban Planning National Institute, the INU. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And before we start, just a quick note to our audience. If you have any questions for our panel, you can put them in the chat box next to the live stream, specifying who the question is for, and we will come to them at the end of the session if we have time left for that. So directly on to the first questions, and land take is an issue affecting all countries, yet the awareness of the issue and the response to it varies very greatly between different states. So starting with Gergely, could you please tell us what your country's response to the issue of land take has been up till now, and what challenges it faces in responding to this?
Voice.
Okay. Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, actually previously we were discussing that this issue will be on the topic of today. So I prepared 2 slides only, which shows what was the legislative background in Hungary to protect the land and the soil as it is. And we had one of the first one in the world for soil protection. That include already the protection against wind erosion and compaction, and also against water erosion, going back nearly 150 years ago. And one very major step, I don't know, can you properly see my screen? Sorry for that. Was the law in 1961 on the protection of agricultural land, which already prescribed the protection of the quantity also and the quality of the soil resources. So first, not to degrade them. Second, not to lose too much of the quality. The recent one, which is still in force, is the Soil Protection Law from 2007, and that is prescribing the soil protection fee to be paid in case of land take, and also for illegal use of change, and land recycling is also prescribed in this law. And one very recent development is just a month old. It's a government decision on brownfields, which is for the delineation of brownfield action site, again protecting the soil resources against land take, and try to regenerate these sites which were already used before in urban and commercial areas. And why is it so important? Because Hungary loses its soil resources by land take very rapidly. It has quite rich soil resources. Maybe therefore the care is not so much actually in Hungary. So we had lost more than 21,000 hectares in the last 2 decades, and most of it is arable land, and much of it also pasture. Also, there are other agricultural land uses, and this was lost against highways, industrial areas, mostly highways and industrial areas, but not only, logistics center, commercial and residential areas too. So actually this is a growing issue, but unfortunately, because Hungary is rich in soil resources, which is fortunate, but because of that reason, unfortunately, so far there was not too much attention, although the legislative acts were there, but even if the legislation was there, the consumption of soil continued. Maybe this new acts will help to halt or at least to ease these processes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Gergely. Perhaps now we can have an Italian perspective. Michele, could you please tell us what it looks like in Italy?
Yes, thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody. And about the Italian situation and response to land take, we have to say that unfortunately the response has not been very effective to date, since every year we detect more than 50 square kilometers of new buildings, infrastructures, and other construction sites and so on. We have an average of about 16 hectares per day, and the increase doesn't show signs of slowing down. And that makes our country lose almost 2 square meters of natural agricultural soil every second of the day. And at the moment we miss a national law, and we have several and different approaches between regions, and for now only in some part of the territory the initiative of regions and local administrations seems to have just marginally succeed in controlling the increase of artificial areas. So it makes clear that the phenomenon is of decision inertia, I could say, that so the current plan, regulation, laws has not yet show the capacity on land take limitation and governance. But awareness is growing up. And every year we produce a national report on land take, land use changes, and ecosystem services. ISPRA and the National System for Environmental Protection define a land monitoring reference network with over 60 people working on it and producing a national map updated every year. And the maps and the data confirm, of course, the criticality of land take in Italy and soil sealing, particularly in the urban areas and peri-urban areas, where the increase of artificial surfaces is growing as well. Another criticality is also in the areas located around the infrastructures, and also due to fragmentation and other threats that lead to land degradation in a lot of parts of Italy. Also, the densification of urban areas is a growing problem, as it causes the loss of natural land, natural area within our cities, and so reducing the ability, for instance, to adapt to climate change for living cities where we live. So I think the challenge is now to stop land take and soil sealing and use existing buildings, existing infrastructure, dismissed areas, degraded areas in our city, in our land, and they are a lot, they're available, and we can use and reuse them without losing more natural soils.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michele. Perhaps, Domenico, could you please give us a further perspective, particularly on how land take is being tackled in urban planning? Your microphone.
Yes, excuse me. There are many law proposals for land take reduction in Italian parliament commissions, while some legislation passed in regions with different approaches and limitations. A common feature is a quantitative regulation. Generally, these laws divide the municipal territory in two parts, urban and rural, and decide limitation on rural land development. Urban planners are increasing their concern on land quality, especially for ecosystem services associated with land, an essential quality urban living requires. Open spaces are also greenery, and greening is the most required urban strategy in front of climate change to fight against nuisances as heat island or flooding. Land support is a tool to measure ecosystem services, and so doing, let's make a comparative assessment of land quality in some different spots and have results of what of them is more precious for its pedagogical quality. This possibility that made an important shift from simple quantitative regulations to more deep knowledge that support better informed choices. In the planning process, such a strategic evaluation, thanks to the friendly use of land support, may be made by any citizen participating to the decision-making process and making pressure on the elected officials. On the other hand, the planners are no more a simple executor of rules, but devote to strategic action and integrate the evaluation in planning process. Everybody now is speaking of urban regeneration, frequently focusing on energetic house refurbishment without stressing the ecological drive. The last one means design cities no more with buildings, but with open spaces. At this point, land support needs.
Okay, thank you very much. And that takes us to the land take tool developed as part of the land support project. And for those of you not familiar with the project, it stands for Development of Integrated Web-Based Land Decision Support System, aiming towards implementation of policies for agriculture and environment. And Giuliano, could you please briefly tell us what the land take tool does and how it could solve these challenges just mentioned?
Yes. Good morning to everybody, first of all. And Joe, thank you very much for this interesting question. As a general statement, we can say that the land support project focuses on the development of a software infrastructure based on high-performance computing. This is very useful to provide multidisciplinary operational tools that can be used by a multi-stakeholder community to challenge, in particular, the land take issue that we are speaking today, with particular emphasis on soil sealing. This is true because of the kind of data we embedded in our platform. It means that we have different tools, different models, different indicators that enable the end user of the land support platform to quantify the impacts of land take in Europe, in all over Europe. So in particular, the land support decision support system contributes to solve the land take challenges because anyone can run a land take related tool. This can be done in real time or with a very short delay in the packaging of the result by the platform. And anyone can perform an analysis in every place in Europe. This can be done also considering different administrative limits, levels, according to the NATS classification we have in Europe. So everybody everywhere can use the same data and the same models. This suggests also ways to standardize methods, if we want, of length measurements. And I think that in Europe, people facing the same issue are not speaking necessarily the same language. And I think that this is the first step to tackle any issue, and of course also for the lentic issue too. Further, I can say that tools are implemented according to the requirements defined by stakeholders. So therefore, the expectation in using the land support platform is that a urban planner, such as Domenico, or a policymaker, such as probably Michele, can acknowledge the status of the dynamic of the lentic all over the Europe. And this can be done easily and quickly. So we have to think about the land support platform as one of a kind. We do not have another tool, another platform all over Europe performing this kind of calculations as the land support platform does.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation, Giuliano. And just a quick hello to those who joined the live stream a little bit later. Thank you for joining us. And if you do have any questions, please put them into the chat next to the live stream, and we will come to them at the end of the panel. So moving forward now, I would turn to Gergely and ask what project applications already exist in your country, or where could you see it being implemented?
Yes, thank you very much. We started to disseminate the project results and also test whether this land support tool is useful for local and regional applications, and also we'll do it for national scale applications. And what we found, we made some discussion with the network, with the alliance of Pannonian cities. Pannonia is the western part of Hungary, Trans-Danubian region, and there is an alliance of cities in that region who communicate and work together on different development strategies. And we had a discussion with the mayors and also some advisor of the mayors on sustainable development issues. And we also introduced the land support tool to them. And that was a very interesting discussion. Because what we found, first of all, is that the development strategies, there's a lot of commonalities in these cities. These are small and medium-sized cities in Hungary. And, but there are also some differences between them. And the land support tool can help, first of all, to realize the issue of land take, to realize by the city leadership and the advisors, that this is a problem which is existing in all municipality, in fact. So it's not the problem somewhere else; it's a problem in situ, in each city, and that the cities should also incorporate that issue in their sustainable development strategies. And one of the outcome of this discussion was that the land support tool is something which, first of all, helps the municipalities and also regional authorities to include land take in the planning, and also to compare what is going on within their cities or in their regions in comparison to other regions. And I think this is extremely important. Again, this is a little bit of the educative side of the land support tool that disseminate this information, what is there in cities, in regions, in comparison to other cities. So all regional planners and all elected leaders of cities can see how the bird goes and what they can do in order to contribute both to the local development and to the protection of the land resources. And so this was a very, very interesting experience, and land support was a big help to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gergely. That's very interesting to hear. And now Michele, for Italian perspective.
Yes, I agree a lot with Gergely, and also in Italy we started with some workshops, some dissemination activities, and I really think that the availability of tools like this one is essential in order to make available data, indicators, and maps to decision makers, land use planners, but also to citizens, associations, researchers, technicians, and so on. As we are responsible for land monitoring in Italy and for developing the Italian environmental information system, we need tools to classify satellite images, to elaborate maps, to validate results, to model and populate new indicators, to assess local situation, local case studies, and to assess also, as in Hungary, the municipalities' performance. In other terms, to support policies and to assess if plans and actions are sustainable and oriented towards the goal of zero net land take defined by the European Union. So the possibility also to integrate satellite and specifically Copernicus data and services with the national and local data is also very important in order to give the complete information to the user. And the new challenge is also the possibility to estimate data indicators on the fly and to produce forecasts and scenarios based on the national and local laws, regulation and plans, user data, user perspective and point of view. So also for the environmental impact assessment, for instance, for new infrastructure and other constructions, these decision support tools could really help proposer and public authorities for an open and clear dialogue, I can say, to achieve the best choice.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Michele. And Domenico, is there anything else you would add to that from an urban planning perspective?
Yes, land support is involved in a consulting work for Cilento National Park to amend land use regulations and planning. This park is the largest of southern Italy. It is a surface of a little more than 180,000 hectares. In Cilento Park, there are 80 communities, generally made of small villages on top of hills, while the shoreline is infested by high-pressure summer visitors that enjoy beaches and swimming. According to Italian legislation, zoning has to identify areas suitable for development of local population needs and facilities for park fishing. Land support let us understand, first of all, soil seeding processes. In the 10 years, the first draft of the park plan formally was enforced, testing if regulation had the power to address development or not. Second, assess ecological biodiversity of lands on the village's borders as one of the main qualities to protect them from land take. Because village growth was one of the most controversial issues in the 10 years of park existence, biodiversity maps will be a strong argument to reach an agreement with local communities. One more interesting experience of land support is demonstrating to be also a good repository of information for ecotourism. We are in the process of collecting any kind of georeferenced information of natural sites, scenic points in the park, caves, springs, waterfall, lakes, and all other natural attractions To this, we join also historic centers, dead villages, churches, castles, palazzos of some architectural quality. There are also information about hotels, camping, bed and breakfast, and other tourism services. Land supports tools are able to customize information of according to visitors' wishes, and anyone can prepare itineraries starting from the point where he is. We hope this tool will facilitate jogging on park trails, nature enjoyment, and test the famous Mediterranean diet he originated, lowering the pressure from the coastal strip at the advantage of the internal mountain.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that, and thank you for all of your perspectives on this. And after looking a bit more about the potential, I imagine some of the audience may be interested in how the model works. So, Giuliano, could you please tell us how it was developed, what kind of data is needed to use it, and perhaps give us an example of the kind of output that could be expected?
Yes, thank you very much, Joe, for this very interesting question. The land support platform, of course, allow us to use different kind of, as I already told before, different kind of models, indicators, and so forth. But for this particular question, I would like to take as reference the length monitoring tool, which is embedded in our platform. But before to go in the details of this particular tool, let me give the opportunity to make one important premise according to the data we are using in the platform. Why this? Because one of the most important limitations in the Lentic toolbox is the availability of both precise and accurate input data. This is true because our pipelines under the hood can perform calculations on whatever imperviousness data. But the main constraint on results of good quality comes from the availability of imperviousness data of good quality. I think that in the future we shall get more and more detailed and accurate input data with tremendous effects on the output's quality, with positive and dramatic changes in the potentiality of the land support platform usage. And this can be, this is feasible, keeping invariant the algorithms that we embedded in our platform. Currently, we use two different imperviousness data. The first one is distributed all over Europe by the Copernicus Earth Observation Program, which is made by rasters, one for each year, storing in the pixel a value from 0 to 100 according to the degree of imperviousness. Then a second type of imperviousness data comes from ISPRA. Here we have Michele. And these are rasters, one for each year. In particular, ISPRA started from 2015 to produce data each year. So we have 2016, 2017. This is not true also for the Copernicus data for all over Europe, which are instead produced according to a 3 years time step. So this is what we can say according to data. Now, if you agree, I can just share you some few slides, thanks to which I can show you, in particular, the Lentic tool embedded in our platform. So as you can see here, what we do is to compare a reference map and a current map. So these are two different maps in two different points over time. And after this comparison, we can get the map of changes, and we also provide this map to the end user. And of course, we calculate the overall change of state according to the difference we can have over the two maps in these two different time moments different time points on time. So as you can see here, we can have a land take or a land restitution according to the result we can get. What about the results we can get from the platform? Here, for the sake of simplicity, I only provide you few items we have on the platform. The first step is that the user has to define the region of interest and, of course, the years he would like to put in contrast over this region of interest. As you can see here on this map, in which we have a region of interest of about 230 square kilometers. After the elaboration, we get a table of results in which we have this overall accountancy, overall quantification of the losses. In particular, here we selected a comparison between 2016 and 2019, and here we get this loss of about 37 hectares, which is not so few for this municipality, according to only 3 years comparison. Let's zoom here in order to better focus on the opportunity that we have over the platform, which enable us to see with spatial detail where we get these losses, as you can see here by these red pixels. In addition, for the land take tool, we also provide this report in a PDF format in which we include different informations according to the region of interest, such as the name of the administrative limit, its position, extension, the parameters used for the analysis. Also, we include here the same results that we can get in the table of the platform. In addition, we put these losses of lands with these soil productivity maps, which are calculated for all over the Europe, and these are classified in different levels of soil productivity from 1 to 10, as you can see here. And so we can also get, in addition to the pure quantification of land that we lose, we can also have a quantification of the quality of land that we lost in this particular analysis, according to the these different levels of soil productivity. Yes, I think this is enough.
So thank you very much for explaining that, Giuliano. And perhaps now we've had a very good look at what's happening in Italy and in Hungary. And the next question I would maybe look at is, how can you see such tools being further adapted to other European countries? And what potential do you see in the wider land support platform? Perhaps we can begin with Michele.
Yes, thank you. The answer is yes, of course, this is our main goal, because I think that a full and complete framework for analysis framework for the entire Europe is very important at European level, but also at a global level. We have clear goals, as I said before, the zero net land take by 2050 in Europe, and we have to evaluate the roadmap and the path to reach this goal. Copernicus data, as Giuliano said, should be improved, but they already could provide the information base to feed our systems platforms. But we need tools that can put together and analyze this data, and also with the integration with other maps as in Italy and other tools. We have also specific targets foreseen by the Sustainable Development Goals, like the Goal 11 for sustainable cities, and Goal 15, for in particular the land degradation neutrality to be achieved by 2030. So we have to assess land take, land degradation. We should consider all land use flows, as well as the situation for instance, organic carbon, soil productivity, soil erosion, fragmentation, biodiversity loss, contamination sites, and so on. And this should be done with the standardized tools. So we could compare different countries, different regions and municipalities, and for these reasons, I do think that land support tools could easily put beside Copernicus services at European level, considering also national services like the ones that will be provided by the new Mirror Copernicus initiative in Italy and other similar initiatives in other countries. So I really do think that this tool could be adopted at a European level at least.
Excellent, thank you, Michele. And Gergely?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, I agree very much with Michele said. And in addition, I always have been thinking that land take is something what the general public is aware of. I'm not sure. Only if the landscape is hurt, that's what hurts the public. And without convincing the public that land take is a problem, I don't think we get too far. Even if there are legislation, even if there are some government initiatives, if the public is not fully concerned about the issue of land take, I think the success rate is a little bit lower. So in my view, outside from Hungary and Italy, in other European countries, the approach can be from two directions. One is maybe from the top down and the bottom up, as usual in this kind of projects. And from the top down, we can see already the interest also from the side of the European Commission and also from the side of the European Environmental Agency. These institutes are fully aware of the magnitude of the problem. And these institutions, these organizations are in the possession to spread the information about the usefulness of land support, and they do so by different means. And in the meantime, I think it's as much as important, or even more important, to convince local authorities, regional networks, and such as the network of urban planners or networks of agriculture chambers and so on, and to show them what the tool is capable to do. And it also, what Giuliano was very, very nicely presenting, it's capable, it's able to present the spatial pattern and the magnitude of land take, and also what harm it does to the productivity of the soil, and all to the other functions of the soil, and all to the ecosystem services. I don't think I have to explain this in this audience because you're all aware of that. But further to this, I think if we don't approach the people's feeling about it, the general public's mind about what the land take does with the soil resources and the land resources, from the services like food production to the aesthetic forms of land, I think we'll have less success rate. But certainly land support is one of the first or even the first tool which is able to show that on a local to continental scale. So it's very, very hopeful that land support can help to raise this awareness and provide information on different scale in a uniform and comparative manner. So I'm optimistic that the land support tool can help in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gergely. Giuliano, do you have anything else to add to that? Oh, your microphone, sorry.
Oh, sorry. According to how we can adapt further these tools to other European countries, I think that we already have data for all over Europe, even though they are these are impressiveness data produced every 3 years. And we have to think about these very important algorithms that we embedded in the platform. These are based on high performance computing, which use this cutting edge technology based on GPU computing using this CUDA framework and so forth, without giving so much details. But what I would like to say is that thanks to these algorithms, what we can do in the future, of course, is to try to involve as much countries as we can in order to share these tools with these countries. In particular, I think that probably we need to adapt reports according to possibly differences in other countries, but also possibly we have to draw a common procedure for all the European countries. What about the future of Land Support Platform, in particular with in relation with the data? I activated the different collaborations, including also approach based on artificial intelligence, deep learning, in order to raise the temporal resolution of this imperviousness data. So if today we have, thanks to Copernicus, 3 years data all over Europe, we could get probably more data at higher frequency. Let's keep in mind, for instance, 1 year, or also at high resolution, and use this data to provide also a time series analysis of land take, which is very interesting for this issue. And of course, we have not to forget the important requisite, which is the accuracy of this input data of imperviousness, even though we leave the same level of spatial detail in this information. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuliano. I'll turn to that point to Domenico and ask, besides land take, how can land support contribute to urban planning? And are there other tools that the INU uses in its activities?
Yes, I have just to precise that land take is in a construction step, and so many of the things we do are in the process, and we will learn from the activities we do using land take, and testing what is the effect. So the way in which land take was used, for instance, in the park planning, I former said, have to give us the result, and this is a process of to test what the tool is doing. In the perspective, in my opinion, and something that is joining all Europe together, is what will happen after the pandemic. And the next generation EU is one of the fields where any government and planning is involved to have a vision of future Europe. And because ecological transition is one of the main themes of this vision, surely land is the main support of which ecological transition will be built, especially in human environment, anthropic environment, where land was used in the way you know. And so this is a potential, and this is a potential unifying the whole European policy. And if really land support could be a tool that works all over Europe, this could also be a perspective in which European policy of ecological transition may found a joining point, as a reference point. And this, I think, is a very strong potential, especially if, as we many times discussed, about interactivity of land support. That is not just a dissemination of information, but and also a complex and sophisticated tool of elaboration of this information, but also a place where everyone can repository information and policies, so that it is a sort of it is a tool that can grow with a large collaboration all over Europe.
Thank you, Domenico. It'll be interesting to see how it grows. And that brings us to the end of the main part of today's panel. It seems you've explained very well what's happening with land take. We don't have any questions for now, but I would like to thank those people who commented in the chat for their input there. And I'd like to close the session by taking a final tour of the table, giving each of our speakers a chance to very quickly share or summarize what their hopes are for the future of response to land take. So perhaps start with Gergely.
Thank you very much. And here I reflect the note of Professor Baumer in the chat of the YouTube channel. And I fully agree that we have to turn the attention to this problem by making the people realize, also decision makers, but also general public, that it's not a problem somewhere else, but it's a problem there in their own living area, and land support can actually make the legislations also alive, like the Hungarian legislation, which exists, but it's not really working very well in reality. So despite of the legislation, land take is a very rapid and very serious degradation process, and land take too can help to implement that legislation. In the meantime, let the land planners and decision makers be aware of the problem, and also to let them know that there is a support. There is a support to plan the land use, and that's the land support tool actually for the moment. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you, Gergely. Michele?
Yes, thank you for conducting this workshop. Also would like to point attention on legislation as Gergely, because I think that we all have a dream to see the soil directive, the European directive on soil, hopefully approved in the future, in the near future, and I hope so that the very new resolution, the European Parliament on soil, will be carried out by the Commission, and that we have finally this directive to be adopted in order to achieve zero land take and land degradation neutrality, and hopefully restoration or restitution, as Giuliano said. So this is I think, our hope, our dream, but I also hope that in Italy as well, we will have soon a national law with the same goals.
Excellent, thank you. Giuliano?
Yes, thank you. I think that we have an interesting tool. We also have a lot of complexity, and what we need is that stakeholders use this platform, because otherwise we are not doing well our job. And possibly what we have to do in the future is to fill this gap between the land support platform on one hand and the usage and the needs by the stakeholders. Also, I would like to highlight the importance of enhance the quantification of the quality of land that we lose, not only the quantification of the amount of land that we lose, because of course, this is very much important in the next future.
Excellent, thank you. And Domenico, the final word.
Yes, I deeply agreed with this last statement of Giuliano, and was the starting point of my reflection, because what is more impressive is what am I missing doing this action? I think this is a very strong message, and to know exactly what you learn on the report, and means exactly what you are missing and what are potentials of a change if you use instead of destroying. And so knowledge is an essential point for any action. And informed action is one of the main bases important for any policy.
This is true. And thank you, Domenico, and a big thank you to all of our speakers for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. And the same goes to all of you who are viewing this, both live and those who will look at it later. So thank you very much for joining us. And as I mentioned, today is just the start. My colleague Gloria De Paoli will be hosting the next live roundtable on May 20, and that will be focusing on modeling agricultural production with the Armosa model and the viticulture tool. So you can find more information about land support and these tools on the website landsupport.eu. Also more information here through the YouTube channel, and for searching for land support, all one word together, on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we look forward to seeing you then, and take care for now. Thanks.
Goodbye. Goodbye to everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.